Small books, bound and laid and found in a secluded cave in Jordan, are sparking intense debate among archaeologists and religious scholars. They're older than the Bible and bear mysterious inscriptions. These ancient artifacts are raising serious questions about human origin and the earliest chapters of human history. The cryptic symbols within them hint at a possible merging of early belief systems, leading some to believe these books may hold secrets that could rewrite what we know of our spiritual and cultural roots. Even Pope Francis has said this is serious, suggesting these findings could deepen humanity's understanding of faith in our shared past. Discovery of the tiny books in Jordan. The story of these tiny books begins in the arid and rocky landscapes of Jordan, a land that has long been a crossroads of ancient civilizations. Hidden away in a secluded cave, the books were discovered by a group of archaeologists who had been exploring the area. Their primary mission was to trace early Christian communities that once settled in the region. The cave itself was unremarkable at first glance, just one of many dotting the Jordanian hillsides. But the team soon realized they were on the verge of an extraordinary discovery. As they explored the cave's interior, researchers stumbled upon a small, intricately arranged stack of tiny, lead-bound books, each no larger than the palm of a hand. They were bound with rings and tightly closed. Their dark metal covers hinted at countless years spent undisturbed in the cave's dusty depths. Given their unusual form, the team recognized immediately that these weren't ordinary artifacts. The lead coverings and unique ring bindings signaled an item of ritualistic or protective significance. It quickly became clear that these artifacts were likely much older than any manuscript they had encountered before. Dating the books would be the next step. Could these tiny volumes be older than the Bible? When they opened one of the books, researchers were immediately confronted with a series of symbols, inscriptions, and iconography that defied easy interpretation. Some pages contained images resembling menorahs, palm trees, and what appeared to be early Christian crosses. The symbols seemed familiar, yet distinct, pointing toward a blend of traditions that might link Jewish and early Christian practices. This symbolic fusion immediately raised suspicions that the books could date back to the earliest interactions between these communities, perhaps during the dawn of Christianity itself. Dr. Robert Feather, a British metallurgist and historian, was one of the first experts to examine the artifacts. His early analysis suggested that the lead books could indeed date back nearly 2,000 years, aligning with the time of early Christian-Jewish interactions. Feather's findings added significant weight to the theory that the books could predate the Bible's codified form, which would make them one of the oldest religious texts known to humanity. The excitement only intensified as more details about the books emerged. The inscriptions, though difficult to interpret, appeared to be written in a combination of Paleo-Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. All languages closely associated with ancient Jewish and early Christian texts, this linguistic blend seemed to affirm that the books could have originated in a period of early religious crossover. If these texts indeed predate the Bible, they might contain evidence of an ancient worldview that predates modern religious divisions, and they could possibly offer clues about a shared foundation that underlies both Judaism and Christianity. As experts began to delve deeper into the book's contents, it became clear that each symbol and inscription had been meticulously crafted. Unlike traditional scrolls or tablets, these books were designed to be portable and durable, suggesting that they may have served a protective or secretive purpose. Some scholars speculated that the books were hidden intentionally, possibly by an early religious community seeking to preserve its beliefs during a time of persecution or societal upheaval. The choice of lead as the primary material was another intriguing element. Unlike parchment or clay, lead was rarely used for writing due to its toxicity and weight. However, its resilience against the elements made it ideal for preservation, suggesting that the creators of these books prioritized longevity over ease of use. Theories about the book's purpose began to take shape. Some scholars posit that the artifacts might be religious amulets or protective texts meant to ward off evil. Others suggested they could be personal prayer books that carried encoded beliefs meant for a small, devout community. The blend of Jewish and Christian symbols hinted at a group that perhaps shared beliefs from both traditions, perhaps even from the early days of Christianity when the lines between religious communities were still fluid. The books, in this sense, could offer a glimpse into a formative era of human spirituality. Then one central question began to emerge. Why had no mention of them surfaced in historical records? Theories abounded. Some experts suggested that the books may have been considered heretical by more established religious authorities of the time, and that this led to their owners concealing them for fear of persecution. Alternatively, the artifacts could have belonged to a secretive sect that practiced a form of worship outside the mainstream. They might have tried to preserve these texts as a private and sacred record of their beliefs. The implications of the discovery: if these books truly predate the Bible and contain early religious symbols, they could challenge long-standing narratives about the origins of monotheistic religions. For some, this raised troubling questions. What if the origins of these symbols and teachings reveal a spiritual history older and more interconnected than previously believed? And if so, what would happen? What does this mean for our understanding of human origin? The answers lay hidden within those carefully inscribed, age-old pages, waiting to be deciphered. The mystery of the inscriptions and symbols. As scholars pored over the contents of the tiny lead books discovered in Jordan, it became clear that the inscriptions and symbols within were as enigmatic as ever. As they were significant, each page appeared to hold carefully etched symbols and cryptic script. Among the symbols most frequently observed were menorahs, palm trees, and early representations of the Christian cross. These images, combined with text in Paleo-Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, continue to raise questions about the origins and purpose of the books. The menorah is a 7-branch candelabrum and one of the most prominent symbols found within the books. In Jewish tradition, the menorah represents light, wisdom, and the eternal flame of God's presence. It is often associated with the temple in Jerusalem. The presence of this symbol in such an ancient text has led some scholars to speculate that the tiny books may date back to a time when Jewish iconography was merging with early Christian beliefs. Since the menorah symbolizes enlightenment and divine guidance, its inclusion could indicate that the book's creators sought to invoke a sense of spiritual wisdom or protection. Alongside the menorah, palm trees and other botanical imagery appeared frequently throughout the books. The palm tree, particularly in ancient Near Eastern cultures, represented peace, prosperity, and victory. In early Christian iconography, it symbolized the triumph of the spirit over death, and it is often associated with martyrs who achieved eternal life. Some scholars believe that the palm tree imagery in the tiny book suggests a message of hope or redemption, possibly intended to inspire those who faced persecution. These botanical symbols appear carefully chosen, perhaps to convey spiritual ideals that resonated with multiple communities, reflecting the interconnected beliefs of the time. The Christian cross was another recurring motif within the books, though its form differed slightly from the modern cross. The crosses found in these books suggest that they could predate the formalized Christian cross symbol we recognize today. Some researchers speculate that the crosses may also have been used as a protective symbol, a common practice in early Christian communities where crosses were sometimes inscribed on objects to ward off evil. The blending of crosses with Jewish symbols, like the menorah, implies that the books may have belonged to a community navigating the boundary between Judaism and emerging Christianity. This symbolic overlap has fueled speculation that these books may predate the formal separation of these two religions and capture a unique moment in history when religious identities were still in flux. The texts themselves were written in Paleo-Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. Paleo-Hebrew was an ancient script used before the Babylonian exile. It suggests a link to the Jewish heritage of the book's creators. Aramaic was widely spoken in the ancient Near East and commonly associated with early Jewish communities. It is the language believed to have been spoken by Jesus. The presence of Greek inscriptions, however, introduces a curious element. Greek was the lingua franca of the Eastern Mediterranean during the Hellenistic and Roman periods, and it was often used by early Christian writers to disseminate their teachings. The combination of these languages implies that the books may have been created for a bilingual, perhaps even trilingual audience, a group that straddled the boundaries of Jewish and early Christian worlds. As researchers examined the inscriptions, they noted that certain phrases and symbols appeared to be deliberately obscured. It was as though the text was intended only for initiates or members of a specific community. This has led some to theorize that the books could have belonged to a secretive religious group or sect. Early Christian and Jewish sects, such as the Essenes, often practiced esoteric teachings. They recorded sacred knowledge in a way that was accessible only to a select few. The idea that these books could contain hidden knowledge resonates with scholars who believe they were meant to preserve teachings that were at odds with mainstream religious thought of the time. As the study of the books continues, scholars hope to unlock more of the coded language and complex symbolism within. Each page promises new insights and could possibly reveal a lost narrative of human origin that bridges diverse belief systems, scientific verification, and dating of the artifacts. The discovery of the tiny lead-bound books found in Jordan sparked immediate interest, but the archaeological community knew that verifying their age and authenticity was critical to understanding their true significance, to determine if these artifacts were genuinely older than the Bible. Researchers turned to rigorous scientific testing. Scientists employed advanced methods such as radiation testing and metallurgical analysis, hoping to establish their historical context and authenticity. Radiation testing is often applied in archaeology. It measures the levels of radiation in an object's material to estimate its age. For the tiny lead books, scientists used a specific approach called lead isotope analysis, which examines the natural radioactive decay in the lead used to create the books. Since lead has a unique isotopic signature that changes over time, testing these books allowed researchers to approximate when the lead was mined and forged. Early results suggested that the lead originated in the 1st centuries AD, aligning with the Roman era and supporting the theory that these books were created around the same time as some of the earliest Christian and Jewish texts. Another critical step was metallurgical analysis. This is a process that examined the composition and structure of the lead used in the books. Metallurgy offered insights into the technological capabilities of the time, as well as the authenticity of the materials. When scientists compared the lead's isotopic composition with samples from known historical sources, they found a strong match with lead deposits used during the Roman period. This finding bolstered claims that the books were indeed ancient. It aligned with known Roman mining sites and production techniques. Further, the analysis showed that the books were manufactured using an early method for casting lead, likely requiring a skilled artisan. This level of craftsmanship indicated the books were significant items, perhaps intended for religious or protective use. Beyond dating, verifying authenticity was essential to prevent potential forgeries from misleading the research. For this purpose, researchers used X-ray fluorescence to analyze the surface of the lead. XRF allows scientists to identify elemental compositions by detecting X-ray emissions from the material. This process would reveal any modern contaminants or treatments that would suggest a recent creation. The results were promising. The lead showed a consistent patina and corrosion pattern that typically only forms after centuries of exposure to natural elements. This weathering confirmed that the books had not been tampered with in modern times, lending even more credibility to their age. Carbon dating is a common method for organic materials. It was employed on fragments of binding or organic traces within the books. While lead itself cannot be carbon dated, any residual organic material found within the bindings or pages, such as fibers, dust, or soil, could provide a contextual timeline. The samples collected revealed organic traces dating back nearly 2,000 years, further aligning with the early Roman period. Combined with the radiation testing and metallurgical analysis, these results formed a compelling case that the books were authentically ancient and not products of a modern hoax. The scientific verification strengthened claims that these artifacts could be among the oldest religious texts ever discovered. If indeed from the early Roman era, these books may predate the formal canonization of the Bible, suggesting they could hold insights into early Judeo-Christian beliefs. The verification process underscores the seriousness of these findings and sets the stage for further study, as scientists and historians alike seek to unravel the mysteries these small books may yet hold. The potential impact on biblical history and belief systems. The discovery of the tiny ancient books in Jordan has the potential to disrupt long-standing narratives about the origins of religious texts and practices, especially within Judaism and Christianity. If these artifacts indeed predate the Bible, they could challenge traditional views about how and when sacred texts were formed. Scholars and theologians are intrigued, and in some cases unsettled, by the possibility that these books may represent a time before the established structures of organized religion. The contents might even suggest that the roots of these belief systems may be more intertwined than previously thought. The implications for biblical history are profound. Traditionally, both Judaism and Christianity have been seen as distinct entities with separate origin stories that eventually intersect. Judaism is often understood as an ancient tradition with roots tracing back thousands of years. Christianity is seen as a new faith that emerged from Judaism during the 1st century AD. However, the symbols found in these small books, the menorahs, early crosses, and palm trees, suggest a period of religious crossover that complicates this narrative. If these artifacts are indeed older than the Bible, it raises the possibility that elements of Jewish and Christian iconography coexisted earlier than recorded, possibly within communities that were experimenting with combined religious ideas. The presence of Paleo-Hebrew and Greek inscriptions further supports this theory of interwoven origins. Paleo-Hebrew, associated with ancient Jewish texts, and Greek, which was commonly used by early Christians, highlight a linguistic crossover that aligns with the visual symbols. This duality could indicate that these texts were intended for a bilingual audience familiar with both Jewish and Christian concepts. Perhaps the creators of these texts were members of an early sect that blended aspects of Judaism and Christianity, an idea that could reshape our understanding of the spread and development of religious beliefs during the early Roman period. They may even offer clues about the transmission of oral traditions and teachings that later became foundational to both faiths. In early Judaism, many teachings were passed down orally. Written texts were carefully curated by religious authorities. Early Christianity, too, relied heavily on oral tradition. This was before the New Testament was formally compiled. These tiny books could represent a bridge between oral and written traditions. They could have preserved ideas that predate the more formalized texts of both the Old and New Testaments. In this way, they may provide insight into the beliefs and teachings that existed before religious doctrines were solidified for historians and believers alike. The implications are enormous. If early Judeo-Christian communities shared more than we previously thought, it raises questions about the role of religious institutions in shaping and possibly dividing human belief systems. These texts could reveal that the division between Judaism and Christianity may have been less clear-cut at the outset. Communities may well have held beliefs that drew from both traditions. Such a discovery would not only add depth to our understanding of early monotheistic religions, but might also suggest that these communities were bound by shared philosophical questions about human origin, purpose, and the divine. Questions that transcend any one religion. The impact of this find could extend to modern religious thought. Pope Francis is known for his emphasis on unity and dialogue between religious communities. He has expressed interest in these artifacts for precisely this reason. For him, the discovery of artifacts that might predate the Bible serves as a reminder of the shared roots of Judaism and Christianity, and they could potentially open new avenues for interfaith dialogue. The possibility that these books capture an ancient period of spiritual overlap aligns with the Pope's vision of finding common ground among different faiths. In his view, the artifacts are not just historical relics, they're bridges that connect people through shared values and a common search for understanding. Some scholars suggest that these texts, with their shared symbols, could embody what has been referred to as primordial monotheism, a theoretical foundation that predates the differentiation of religions. This idea suggests that early human spirituality may have been rooted in a shared understanding of the divine that gradually evolved into distinct religious traditions, if these small books truly reflect a primordial monotheistic worldview. They may offer a glimpse into humanity's earliest attempts to connect with the divine, and they might challenge modern religions to reconsider their common origins. This possibility, as scholars and religious leaders like Pope Francis have recognized, is not just a question of historical curiosity. It is a profound invitation to rethink how we perceive the origins of human spirituality. The broader debate: science, religion, and human origin. The discovery of the tiny books in Jordan has reignited a long-standing debate over the relationship between science and religion, particularly regarding humanity's origins and early beliefs. For centuries, science and religion have each offered distinct narratives to explain the beginnings of human history and the development of consciousness. Religious traditions often emphasize a divinely guided creation. Science focuses on the evolutionary process that led humans to develop complex societies and belief systems. These books, however, may serve as a bridge between these perspectives. In many ways, discoveries like these small books raise provocative questions about the nature of early human spirituality and the evolution of consciousness. For scientists, the artifacts represent a fascinating piece of the puzzle. They hint at an early stage when humans began to think abstractly, exploring concepts of existence and the divine. For religious scholars and theologians, however, the books could be seen as evidence of an ancient, possibly divinely inspired spiritual awakening, perhaps even a period when humanity first sought to understand its place in the cosmos. The artifacts provide a meeting ground where both science and religion can consider what these early expressions of spirituality reveal about human nature. One of the most compelling aspects of this discovery is how it underscores the interconnectedness of human history. The symbols and languages within the books, which combine Jewish and early Christian iconography with Paleo-Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek text, suggest a fluid exchange of ideas. For both scientists and religious scholars, this blending points to a period when human societies were less isolated and more intertwined. The books may reflect an ancient globalism, where people and ideas crossed boundaries more freely than previously thought. This possibility challenges traditional assumptions about the evolution of religious thought. It suggests that early humans may have shared spiritual concepts long before formal religions existed, separated into distinct traditions. The implications for the science-religion dialogue are significant. Religious communities often hold fast to sacred texts and historical narratives. They view these as definitive records of truth. Scientific discoveries, however, are constantly evolving. Each new finding is capable of reshaping our understanding of the past. The tiny books embody this tension. They offer evidence that might alter traditional narratives, while inviting believers and scientists alike to consider new interpretations. For some, this tension is a source of discomfort. It raises fears that established beliefs could be undermined. For others, however, it is an opportunity to expand their understanding, and they welcome discoveries that add depth and context to their faith. Pope Francis's interest in the artifacts illustrates a progressive view of this relationship, where faith and science are seen as complementary rather than opposing forces. By encouraging the study of these artifacts, the Pope suggests that historical discoveries do not necessarily contradict religious beliefs, but can enrich them. His stance reflects a growing acknowledgement within religious circles that science and religion can work together to deepen our understanding of human history. In this way, the tiny books could serve as catalysts for a more collaborative approach, where scientists and religious scholars together explore the mysteries of our shared past. Yet, the broader debate also underscores the limitations of both perspectives. While science provides the tools to analyze and date artifacts, its framework may not fully account for the spiritual or existential meanings behind them. Religion, on the other hand, offers interpretations rooted in ancient wisdom, but can struggle to incorporate new evidence into its worldview. It suggests that both scientific and religious insights are essential to understanding the full picture of humanity's past. Ultimately, these tiny books indicate yet again that the history of human spirituality is complex. No single narrative can capture it entirely. The blending of symbols and languages within these books is evidence of humanity's universal search for meaning. It's a search that transcends the boundaries of any one tradition or discipline. In the end, they invite us to recognize that science and religion, each in their own way, are the same. They seek to answer the same fundamental questions. Who are we? Where did we come from? And what unites us as humans on this ancient journey? Further study of the tiny books and human origin. Preserving these tiny books for future study is as crucial as deciphering their contents. As fragile artifacts, they require careful handling and meticulous preservation to ensure they remain accessible for future study. Generations of scholars, museums, academic institutions, and religious organizations have a vital role to play in safeguarding these books, ensuring that they can continue to be examined with both historical and spiritual reverence. Their preservation is not just about protecting physical artifacts, it's about maintaining an ongoing dialogue with our distant past, a conversation that crosses the boundaries of science, history, and belief. The study of these books will likely keep raising new questions, even as answers emerge. As researchers uncover more about the lives, thoughts, and beliefs of the people who created these texts, they will continue to invite speculation and interpretation. Were these books simply records of ritual practices? Or do they contain philosophical or existential insights meant to guide early communities? The presence of Jewish and Christian symbols together hints at a shared religious history that challenges our current understandings, and that could cause fireworks. Each discovery may challenge previously accepted narratives and prompt humanity to consider more complex, interconnected histories and spiritual origins. Beyond the academic and religious spheres, these artifacts hold a profound relevance for humanity as a whole. As far as human origin is concerned, they remind us that our ancestors were not so different from us. They searched for meaning, explored existential questions, and strived to understand their place in the universe just like we do. By preserving and studying these artifacts, we honor that journey and continue the shared quest for understanding that has defined human history. The books symbolize not only a connection to our ancient past, but also a reminder of our common heritage and the timeless pursuit of wisdom and truth. What do you think these tiny books will ultimately reveal? That the Christian religion as we know it is authoritative, or that there is a lot more to the story than we thought we knew? Tell us in the comments. For now, we're done. Catch you in the next video.